So in this video, I will quickly explain the methods that I used for the rotations and mechanics I used against Maguu Kenki in event day 3 using Mona, understanding this Maguu stagger resistance and how Mona's bubble works and taking advantage of this. Just a quick intro before I get into the details. As we are all aware, this boss has been quite a surprise to many of us. Certainly I underestimated it in my first attempt, where I thought I could achieve something like this in my old video against Maguu Kenki. As soon as it released, it was 6 AM in Sydney, and I decided to just go ahead and tick all the settings without even really reading what were the debuffs, and went straight into it, realizing that I did it.
Ain't so bad, you know, pretty easy. Then I saw these two and I was like, oh fuck me in the bum hole.
I had to re-evaluate my methods. From this point, I wanted to confirm whether the Maguu had a similar mechanic to the existing one on the beach archipelago islands. So I used my C6 Eula to confirm that if it could be one-shotted or not, and it one-shotted it very easily within 15 seconds, and it can be even shorter than that, quite frankly. So no issues with the C6 Eula, which actually struck a lot of concerning issues for me. Not because the fact that it was just really easy, but the fact that it was just too easy that I've just completely ignored all these mechanics. Not to hate on Eula or anything, I think she's a great character. I knew it was too easy. It was quite concerning because I haven't really learnt the mech yet. Because of this, this actually slightly annoyed me. The fact that this whole entire event was heavily orientated towards C6 Eulas just breezing through this. And since I'm a Mona main, I wanted to at least feature her somewhere within this event. And what better place to do this is with the two Maguu boys. I knew that in the 7,050 points range, these Magus have around 900k to 1 mil HP each. Already this was already quite concerning, since my Mona can only really hit a maximum of 1.1 mil in open world with fully stacked buffs. So getting 1 mil on a Mona on these Magus and setting up on them without any interruption was just basically almost impossible, or it's just really challenging. So I started to test her out in various team comps in the 5,000 points range first, where I confirmed that they were one-shottable with Mona. It was just a matter of upping up the points bit by bit to 6,000 and then finally to 7,000. But I did a lot of testing in the 6,000 range where they didn't become one-shottable at that point because of the oversaturation of HP that's given to them through the options that you would have to tick, which made me realize that I needed to respec my gear to make it less one-shot nuke Mona build to more of a stable crit rate build. So my stable crit rate build had around, with the Widsif, about 54% crit rate with 255 crit damage. And from that, all I needed to do was just ensure that in the beginning, at the start, all it needed to do was just crit. Doesn't matter which buff comes up, whatever. In fact, in the video, it was the worst buff, that the Widstiff proc, that resulted in that damage. So you can imagine if I did get the Elemental Mastery Widstiff buff or the Elemental Damage bonus Widstiff buff, the two other ones, basically, I would have done a lot more damage. I think the highest it could actually go to for that first initial hit would be around 800k, but that wasn't shown in the video, so I didn't really care. All I wanted was just two easy crits and then move on to the next stage. So now, how does this rotation work? So originally I tried out various units beforehand, and I found this team to be the most stable one for me to execute the rotation. So at the start, Zhongli is using the Tensity of the Millith set, if I pronounce that correctly. A quick explanation of the set, if those who are not very familiar with it. It can provide an attack buff for a few seconds under the condition that the elemental skill of the user for this set is constantly hitting an enemy. So characters like Xiangling, Fischl, their elemental skills that provide off-field damage, they would be keeping this buff up for those few seconds. Even Zhongli can do this, but a lot of enemies walk away from his pillar, so it's not very mobile, so that's why I'm not sure if it's usually recommended, but this is what I used for him. Since the effect can be activated off-field, this is why I chose it for Zhongli. This is why I placed one pillar on the left at the start, because I already knew that the middle pillar was going to break and I would lose out on the attack buff for Mona. If you don't have C2 Zhongli, you can probably, not C2, C1 Zhongli I believe, you can probably still use the set, but you just won't get the additional attack buff factored into Mona's vaporized damage. After placing the pillar down in the center, I then dropped down Xiangling's Guba and followed up with a Pyronado and starting the fight. Why Guba at the start? Guba just needs to disappear and give me one chili, that's all. Which provides 10% attack boost. After starting the fight, I immediately jumped to the top of the pillar and cast Mona's Burst. Pyronado will essentially hit the two Maguu, which will neutralize the elemental reactions, and then reapplying the pyro back onto them. Since I activated on the ground, it doesn't go up along with you when you climb the pillar, making it constantly being able to hit the two Magus. Because of the 7,000 points, there is a debuff that decreases your attack if you take damage. I also lose out on the elemental shred from Zhongli, which means I lose out about 100 to 150k worth of damage from Mona. It was pretty important for me to start off like this. I've tried to iframe them with Mona's Burst, but the Magu's attack immediately shreds the shield and hits Mona right after her elemental burst iframe. This is why I decided I want to go up on top of the pillar. After the pillar takes multiple hits, it will break, resulting in Mona to fall down, which then follow up with Bennett's burst and picking up the chili and centering myself to let the Pyronado do the work of constantly maintaining pyro on the two Magus, eventually resulting in the bubble popping, doing Mona vaporized damage. Now you're probably wondering at this point, why did the bubble not pop? To put things very simply, there is a hidden mechanic known as stagger or poise resistance and damage within this game. A lot of games have this type of mechanic. Mona's bubble, to put it simply, is affected by this. You may notice this already with the Amino Fatui when he charges up his punch, and it's basically almost impossible to interrupt him unless you kill him before he punches. This is a simple example to put it that the Magus have as well, where the majority of the casting attack animations have a similar mechanic. When you start the fight, the Magus will initially start up their channeling attack animation. During the small frame of time, I took advantage of this by doing the rotation that keeps Mona safe from damage, while also getting a nice comfortable time window to set up everything. Though this method doesn't work if the Magus are standing idle or walking slowly towards you. So to make things very simple, if you see your bubble not popping on the Magus or a certain enemy in future that has similar mechanics, just make sure that they have pyro constantly applied onto the bubble. Will most likely time out, resulting in vaporized damage. You can essentially take full advantage of this on other certain enemies as well with Mona. The child boss has also very small windows of high stagger resistance to Mona's bubble from popping, but since he has quite a small HP threshold, I don't really bother Mona vaporizing him anyways. Going back to the combo after this, most likely the Magus will do another attack. You can iframe it with an elemental burst. During this part of the clip, nothing really special. I just dropped down elemental skills and collected energy particles. I continued to dodge and circle around them like a shepherd and his sheeps, keeping them bunched together. But also, it's easier to dodge their attacks if you're quite close to them by immediately going right behind them. Doing the vaporized combo again. One failed due to one Maguu standing idle and got hit by the field debuff, which caused the normal Hydro attack damage to hit 140k. I dropped down Goober and let him just apply Pyro, but it took a bit long, so I just decided to use Pyronado and caused a Vaporize hit, but it was non-critted, and the other Vaporize hits follow along with that with Mona's elemental skill and charge attack. As always, Bennett is the behind the scenes hero for almost every team comp. In terms of gear, Xiangling will need some DPS priorities in her artifact set and a good polearm. Zhongli is mainly there for shield, pillar, iframe burst. You don't need the homeless staff on him. I only have 2 properly leveled polearms, which is why I gave him what's best. Why not Xiangling with the homeless staff? I decided to use the Skyward polearm instead because it has energy recharge, so I could get her burst up again for the second rotation. So that was just a simple explanation of the rotation. Just to wrap things up simply, we can take advantage of this high stagger resistance attack animation cycles with these enemies for Mona. Hopefully we will come across more of these types of enemies in future. I'd be honest, this just makes things a lot easier for Mona to proc Vaporize. If you have stayed for this long through the video, I thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate my ongoing supporters and friends. I'm available mainly in the KeqingMains Discord, the link to join below. A friendly bunch they are, and they provide their own tips of using Mona as well, so feel free to join us there. See ya.
You